Now, you say you look the part, and you do dress very similarly to police officers. And from what I can tell, you haven't crossed the line from of your look alone being impersonating a police officer, which is one of the things that your company is currently, I would say, being investigated for, or at least some of the individuals in the company are being investigated for. The look alone does not appear to be illegal. I think one of the problems that I've seen is you look like a police officer. You look very similar. Again, not crossing that line. But then when you give orders, if you're holding traffic for the funeral to progress through an intersection, someone might believe that you are a police officer and then therefore obey orders that they wouldn't normally obey. Is this something that has been an issue in the past, or is this sort of a recent development legally where the police have been sort of becoming a lot stricter about that?
Sure. So I can only answer so carefully on that, but it is something that's only been recently. The sergeant had advised to us that there's a new sheriff in town, and because the new sheriff was elected, that there's a new policy within the last few months. Prior to that, and it's funny you should say that the way we look today. Um, when I started the business, and if anyone took the time instead of posting nasty remarks and took the time to actually look into it, they would see that when we first started our company, um, all the vehicles had nothing but white LED lights, only white. We wore very long sleeve, high vis, bright yellow shirts with the company's name on it. Of course, we wore the motor pants, the boots, and the duty belt that holds the radio, and so on and so forth. Um, but we wore the high vis traffic yellow shirts, and again, all the lights were white because we didn't want anyone to even say, "Hey, he's got yellow lights," or "He's got green lights," or "He's got amber lights," or "He looks like security," or "He looks like police." So we stayed with the white. And what's funny is around 2014, when one of the corporals started harassing us on a regular basis, writing multiple citations that were all thrown out over the course of time. We were being written for having the white lights, and the judges were throwing them out. Advised us to go ahead and put the purple on. So we went ahead and put half white, half purple, so you could get that oscillation effect, so you can see the actual lights. Because I don't know if you've ever seen an all LED amber LED light bar flashing. If it's all amber, it just looks like a giant flash, just a big yellow thing. It doesn't actually look like it's flashing until you get closer. So we put the purple with the white, and ran it that way for a little bit, and continue working that way. And then, of course, the same corporal started then harassing us to the point where he was writing multiple citations. In fact, he kept me on a traffic stop for 3 hours one time. Um, Took pictures of everything I was wearing. And the major at the time of operations of Orange County Sheriff's Office actually chastised him for taking 3 hours on the traffic stop, and then, of course, writing me 28 citations on the same traffic stop. What that corporal did was he went around and counted every single white light on my motorcycle and wrote me a citation for it. Um, the judge, and when we went to court, the judge actually said, "Hey, I'll dismiss these. I need you to go ahead and put the amber in, so it's amber and purple." Uh, and we did what the Orange County judge had asked us in court on record. And then we actually had a meeting at the sheriff's office with the same major and the attorney on record at that time for the Orange County Sheriff's Office, along with my attorney. And not only did the attorney at the Orange County Sheriff's Office pick out the color of the amber that we were to install on the bikes, which I then spent $3,000 to have installed on all the vehicles. Um, but at that point in time, uh, one of the captains that was over the motor division at that time was also there, and he kind of complained and made a comment that our long sleeve yellow shirts look like their jackets, and we look too much like their motor officers, and if we could change the color of our shirts. Um, of course, in the same catalog that we were using to show the color of lights and things of that nature, that they picked the amber. They picked the amber out of the film catalog. It's a catalog that's used by tinters that tint windows and stuff. And they picked the amber out of that. But we also had another catalog that had amber lights in it as well. And they actually turned to a page, and we turned to the page and showed them the gray shirts, and they picked the gray shirts that we were currently wearing up until a couple of weeks ago. In 2014 or 2016, towards the end of 2016, we added the amber that they picked, and we switched to the gray shirts that they picked. And nothing else has changed from 16 all the way. The only thing that did change was we had a very confrontational issue on a funeral escort, where at that point a lot of the guys didn't feel safe. A lot of the guys that do work for me are security. They have their security licenses. They do security outside of what we do, and a lot of them carry guns and things of that nature. So they started to want to carry weapons, and I can't tell you, if you have a CWP, I can't tell you, as a business owner, I can't tell you to bring your weapon to work. If I do, something happens to you, I can be sued liable, held liable. So the same thing goes with the only other change besides the shirts in 2016 was I started to allow my security guys and then also my regular guys to start wearing, tasers, and the pepper ball weapons, which are weapons that deliver pepper mace balls, which under the Florida statute, as long as it's in plain view, is legal. They're not BB guns. They're not airsoft guns. They're not toy guns like a lot of, not per se just your website, but or your channel, but a lot of the channels, it's sad that they're uneducated and they don't take the time to go look. But the weapon is a mace delivering weapon, and per Florida statute, it doesn't matter how you carry the mace delivering weapon, as long as it's in plain view, as long as it's for self-defense, you can carry it in plain view. So my guys started carrying tasers and the mace guns, or I'm sorry, the pepper ball weapons. And those are the only changes. So yeah, to go to your question, we initially started with just high-vis shirts and white lights. And over a course of 10 years, due to constant tickets being thrown out, and then a meeting at the sheriff's office with their attorney, them picking colors and colors of shirts and colors of lights, we went out and I invested $3,000 in the lights, and then I invested over like $5,000 or $6,000 to redo all the shirts for all the contractors that I have working for us. Per their request, them saying, hey, this is what we want. And we said, okay, give us a little bit of time, but I'll make sure it happens, and we'll go ahead and do that. And then from 2016 all the way into the last 5 months when the new sheriff took over, we had not a single problem, not a single traffic stop, not a single issue. And I only bring that up because I hear what you're saying in reference to the professional look that we have. And if somebody were to come up and see a motorcycle with orange and purple lights and a gentleman wearing a green shirt, like a traffic vest, yellow, green, and the company's clearly labeled all over the shirts, the company's clearly labeled all over the motorcycles, it is what it is. It's a funeral escort agency. It's not, it's nothing more, nothing less than that. I can't really answer that question with going into too much of the statute and things on that, but nowhere in the Florida statute does it say it's illegal for us to wear what we're wearing. Just like you said, it's not illegal to dress professional. Now, if we were to put police or sheriff or constable or corrections officer or federal agent or some kind of law enforcement term on our shirts or motorcycles, that would be a different scenario altogether. But our name is clearly labeled, just like a gentleman wearing a Bright House, shirt or a Spectrum shirt. It's up and down the sleeves and on the back, just like us, on the back and up and down the sleeves, all over the vehicle, clearly labeling the company. So I I I don't know how else to make it clear that this is a funeral escort company. Um, in fact, one of the things we are doing at this current point is uh, we're we started the process and then we had to kind of hold back because so much was coming the company's way, and money was being spent in the wrong direction to deal with the issues that were coming up. But we were in the process of changing the letters from the gold to a purple color. We were trying to figure out some way to make it look more of a professional, but yet a funeral-ish company. You know, but again, I, I'm just kind of rambling here. I don't know what else to say other than it's a professional look that doesn't say police or sheriff. It doesn't have red or blue lights. It's clear that it's a funeral escort company. And it's funny that you should say that because how many times, somebody calls me, we'll be in the middle of a funeral escort, and my phone will ring, or the supervisor that's on the shift, that it gets forwarded to them and they receive it, and they're, hey, I saw one of your guys in the intersection. I pulled the website off the side of the motorcycle or off the back of the car, and I'm calling the number. I just wanted to see, is it really a funeral? Because I saw all these cars, but I didn't see the hearse, because, it was 60 cars ago. You didn't see the hearse when you came up to the red light. But it, I would love to hear, where if what you're saying, somebody comes up and say, oh, there are cops, then why all of a sudden are they Googling the company's name off the side of our vehicle and calling us saying, hey, I see like 10 cars, 15, 20 cars going by. I didn't see a hearse. Is it really a funeral today? Or, so I don't really get that, in that sense.
When the policy changed with the police department, did they inform you of the new policy?
No, not at all. And it wasn't the police department. It's only the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Um, and I understand that there's a lot going on and this and that from this angle. But if anyone takes the time, other than the Windermere incident that's recently happened, which, is a whole nother thing, but all of the issues have always been from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Um, FHP has never pulled us over. FHP has never wrote citations. Um, Orlando Police, they gave one citation one time to one of my guys, um, and was later dismissed. We've never really had a problem with anyone else throughout Central Florida, um, for 10 years. You know, Somebody had said, "Oh well, one of your guys got a ticket for doing this on the 408, or the toll road that we have here is the 408." And we looked into it, and of course he wasn't working at that time. It was 10 o'clock at night. He was going home, and he was speeding. Employee misconduct outside of work can't be controlled, just like any other, um, we can say, police officer or firefighter or paramedic or anyone else. When they leave their job or who they work for, what they do, whether they're in their company car or their Spectrum van speeding down the road, or their AT&T van, uh, you, you can't say AT&T is a bad company because you just saw an AT&T guy doing 100 down the highway or 90 down the highway, and he's not working. That's employee misconduct. So no one ever advised us that the policies changed, or the laws changed, or the rules have changed. The unofficial agreement that we had in 2016 was, to continue to operate status quo with the amber put in and the gray shirts being worn. Um, you know, I truly miss the major that was at the Orange County Sheriff's Office at the time. He was a very professional, very supportive, to our company. Um, Very good man. In fact, that's why a certain city selected him and made him their chief of police. Um, they got a very good sharp man to become their chief of police. And, you know, it's a shame that he is no longer with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Um, the funny thing is the gentleman that took over for that major at that time, a very sharp lieutenant, very by the book, good guy, amazing. And he transferred to a different division as well. And that's a shame because the supporters that we have had have either been phased out or hired by another agency. Currently, right now, we're in a situation with, you know, the two deputies that have written citation after citation, although they've been thrown out over and over. Recently, has had the ground that they can go ahead and grip to because policies have changed. A new sheriff, as the sergeant has said to me on numerous occasions, the fact that he uses such a cliche statement is a little silly, but you know, there's a new sheriff in town. He keeps telling me, and what was agreed to with legal counsel at that time at the sheriff's office and the upper staff of the sheriff's office and the sheriff of the sheriff's office at that time is no longer policy now. So, which is saddening and confusing because, and we all know it, you know, I have a record. I changed my life. I started a business, running a clean business, hiring people, using, you know, helping people, to the point where, you know, we've had this go for 10 years. And now the one deputy that has a couple of deputies that have problems with the fact I am where I am, I think those people are now in the position to be the people that deal with Metro State. Now that the major and the lieutenants have phased out or moved on, these deputies are now are in those positions today.